सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.
You're listening to Bare Knuckle Bhakti Shorties on the Bhakti Recovery Podcast with Jiva G, coming at you every Monday with a little spiritual something. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you guys are. And happy Monday. Happy Monday, Bare Knuckle Bhakti Shorty Monday. I want to talk about sitting with feelings. And I want to talk about how for addicts and people with associated behaviors, especially codependents and adult children of alcoholics, and the whole crew, the whole 12-step crew, how challenging that is. When we hear the word sitting with feelings, it's like every addict I know, the hair stands up in the back of their neck. It's like, God. So learning how to deal with sitting with your feelings is in the making of sitting with your feelings. Experience, strength, and hope, right? So at the moment, I am in a situation where I am experiencing a lot of discomfort in sitting in a feeling or sitting in a situation with a feeling of impatience, with the feeling of just wanting to get this done. And I mean, I guess I'm in enough recovery to know that I'm not angry at the people who don't do it at my pace or don't do it the way I think it should be done. I know that, but learning that patience, because I'm not alone in this particular situation, learning the patience to sit with it and learn from it has been very interesting, to say the least. I'm really grateful for it, and I'm really grateful for that option. I don't think that I've ever, in a 12-step program, this is something also quite new. I mean, believe it or not, I've been in the program for 27 years, and believe it or not, I'm still learning. I'm such a slow learner. I mean, I got it with drugs and alcohol immediately and surrendered to that process immediately and have never, ever looked back. I was one of those, I really consider myself one of the very lucky ones who don't struggle with that until now, who hasn't struggled with that till now. However, that opened a whole other, there's so many layers of the disease of addiction. The disease of addiction is just the iceberg of what you see is just, the addiction. And then underneath that iceberg, there's so much. And so, like I said, I'm a slow learner. And the option and the opportunity of not acting is kind of a new concept. Now, why is that a new concept? It's because while the 12 steps have given me every tool there is to deal with almost any problem that I haven't found a way. I haven't found in the 12-step program, if it weren't for Bhakti, actually, I hadn't found how to not be completely bossed around by my own feelings. There are ways the program tells you how to react. You do your inventory. I mean, there is that process. But there's still that stuff going on the inside. And sometimes when things are going on, there's not some tool you can bang around on with it, and there's not some screw that you can screw in it, and there's not some magic fix me a Band-Aid that you can put on it. There just isn't at times. Sometimes it's just about, the buzzwords that we learn, trust the process. And while in that process, trust that no, I am not the doer and knower of everything, and I am not the person who who especially in getting involved in when it's with other people, that I'm not the only person here in that situation. And while other people's, uh, you know, pace, the way they're doing things, the way it happens, that process might make me uncomfortable, it does not mean in any way that it is not okay. Now, that's the wisdom kind of to know the difference. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that wisdom that I'm saying right now took me 27 years. Now, that is not a bragging. That's actually pretty embarrassing because I think some people have learned that like in 4 years or whatever it is in the program. But I'm learning that now, and I'm learning that my feelings aren't fact. They're not. Sometimes they are, of course. Sometimes my feelings are facts, but not always. And sometimes my feelings are just my feelings, and I don't have to run around trying to fix them all the time. See, that takes up a lot of time, and I kind of know within that serenity prayer, the things, and with working the steps and practicing my bhakti, I know that first of all, everything happens for a reason, for my benefit, if I'm looking for that, and that my feelings are not the boss of me. That's what I really would like to achieve. No, my feelings are not the boss of me, and how to learn to sit with them, and sometimes apply nothing. And sometimes that lesson now for me, is not applying anything to it. Letting go, trusting the process, trusting others who are also in the process, and just letting that go. And yeah, I'm going to have some uncomfortable feelings about it. I don't have to run around finding Band-Aids all the time. I just don't. And I don't want to. It's tiring. I think as adult children, I grew up in an alcoholic structured family, or unstructured family, let's put it that way. But that structure was really around, I think my family life was very much structured around the deregulation of emotions from the elders, from the adults. And and me trying to sort of, I don't know, find my little place there, and the place was very small, because if I walked out of the lines of what was expected of me, and that's the funny thing is lots of things were expected of me, but not really shown me how to do those things. But if I walked out of those lines, it was a very dangerous and shaming place to be. So I just learned that my feelings were very, not very valid and shameful. I had a lot of shame around any feelings that I had growing up. And I carried that into my adult life. I did. So when my feelings came up, there was a lot of shame and anger and so much stuff involved in it that it is sometimes excruciating sitting through that. I've been very fortunate. Even in 27 years, like I said, this is, the last five years of working an adult child of alcoholic dysfunctional family program has helped me see so much clarity around that. It's something that, for me at least, the understanding of that was a huge relief. The understanding that that's not who I am. Those are just my conditionings. Those are the things that I was taught to believe, whether intentional or non-intentional, and most likely non-intentional, because it was just given to them. And it is what it is. But having that knowledge, it helps me not to want to react so fast. Hold on, what are we doing here? What's going on here? Why is this making me so uncomfortable, this XYZ situation? Why is this making me uncomfortable? Why is this person making me uncomfortable? Why are my feelings making me uncomfortable? Why can't I sit with my feelings? Well, because they're so conditioned to be like wrong and yucky and shameful that of course you don't want to sit. Nobody wants to sit in yucky, wrong, and shameful. Nobody does. So I'm very grateful to have a program and also to have therapy. I have started therapy a few months ago just to work through that stuff, it's hard. It's hard to find, actually, when you're, I've been in the program for 35 years. I'm clean and sober for 27. And it's very hard to find someone with more sobriety time than I have. And also, it's hard to find somebody who can assist me in this in a general way. So I choose to have a therapist for this particular topic in my life, and it's been extremely helpful for me. It's been extremely helpful in understanding, naming, and letting go of the things that don't serve me and don't serve the Bhakti recovery community and don't serve other people in my life, my family, especially my family. And I have that wonderful opportunity of healing, and I take that opportunity very, very sacredly. And I would really, I'm really trying to practice these principles in all of my affairs when I remember, and if I don't remember, believe me, I'll get the spiritual 2x4 reminding me at some point. That's usually what happens. But, I was actually I don't know if I did this on the podcast with Kelly Skinner, with Kishori Gopi, but I really had this realization that I just don't want to have the spiritual 2x4 anymore. I want to change because I see the light and not because I feel the heat. I really do. That's like this next phase of my life. And I want to walk towards that light. I want to walk towards it without being beaten into it, and it has its benefits getting beaten into it. It's brought me this far. But I think I'm kind of ready to change those lessons and evolve. And it's a really beautiful feeling. And it's a new ground. Maybe I'll do trial and error like I always do. I'll have my fails and my wins, and it'll be a good thing. And sometimes I'll get slapped back to reality. That's just how it is, I guess. But I would like to really turn that around. So I pray today. I pray to Krishna that he may help me by me seeing the light. And I'd like to phrase that exactly because I'm really sort of not in the belief anymore that Krishna I know Krishna arranges everything, but I'm not in the belief anymore that I'm in a situation because Krishna put me in a situation. I'm in a situation because of my karma and all of the things that I decide and all of the things that I've ever decided in this life and the lives before that. Krishna is like this ever flowing sun, and it's just me who decides what's going to happen. And I want to take that responsibility. I am responsible for my recovery. I am responsible for anything that I put into my head, anything that I watch, read, anything that I practice. I am responsible for that. And I will take full responsibility for that. And always keeping that in mind, my chances of saying, oh, why me? Or this sucks? Or why do I have to go through this? Or why does this happen to me all the time? Well, Jiva, Miss Gwen, think about the decisions that I've made. And even, it's not about blaming myself. It's not about blaming myself. It is only about taking what I've decided in that moment, because I decided to the best of my ability at any given moment, looking at its results and seeing if that's something that serves my spiritual advancement. That's all it is. Zooming out and not taking it personally in that way. And part of that right now is sitting through my feelings and still doing what I need to do without reacting in a way I don't want to react. So that's about it. That was a shorty this week. I hope, well, actually, it's not that short. It's about 15 minutes. All right, guys. I said this before on the step work that I'm doing. That will be also on the podcast. So it'll be 3 times a week at the moment until the steps are done. Look for part 2 of step 1. And so for a while, we will have 3 shows a week: Shorties, step work, and interviews. All right, guys. Love you all. Have a great week. Haribo. Thanks for listening. I hope you liked the Monday Shorties. Don't forget to check out our full-length episodes on Thursdays. If you like what you heard, spread the word. Peace out.
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.